There are several teams that are, and we need to talk about those. But you brought up Nick Saban, and I want to play some sound for you that he gave at his National Signing Day press conference because, I mentioned that Georgia finished 1, Clemson finished 3. Who finished 2?
Alabama.
Uh-huh. So Lane Kiffin gave this interview to Paul Feinbaum, and Lane Kiffin is always great on the mic because he's loosened up, he's understood, he's been through a lot, he has a lot of experience. The way that people view Ed Orgeron now, I think we'll view Lane Kiffin later, especially if he gets to win a national championship at Ole Miss.
Right.
So he was asked, what makes Nick Saban so good as a recruiter? He doesn't have any social media, he doesn't have any sort of presence in that way, and yet he goes and wins these kids, many of whom were committed elsewhere at the end. How does he do it? So I'm going to play the sound for you, and I'm going to play the sound for them. Matter of fact, mark this place with a gap.
Hey, Coach. Today on the radio, one of your former assistant coaches was complimenting you and talking about the way that you recruit. And the conversation was about whether you would ever be on social media and that you don't really like to text, that you really like to talk on the phone to guys, to recruits. Why is that? And also, is social media ever something that's going to be in your future? Twitter, I think.
Well, look, there's obviously a generation gap between the two of us. I mean, but the way I grew up communicating was talking. When I pumped gas in my dad's service station, I went to the window and I'd say, "May I help you, please?" I didn't text them and ask them. So I think, to me, I kind of feel sorry for people that I see walking around looking at their phone, running into the wall, not even knowing, somebody's getting shot across the street and they don't even know it because they can't take their eyes off their phone. I'm in the other camp, I feel sorry for people like that, but I think to develop relationships, it's really important, to be able to communicate with people. And I think sort of everybody out there understands that I'm not a social media person. I don't have Twitter. I don't communicate that way. That I do really respect and respond better to personal relationships. That's with players after they're here and when we're recruiting them. So I hope it's not hurting us in any kind of way. But that's kind of the style, So. Do you think it's hurting us in any way? No? Okay. Well, I just wondered.
So that's Nick Saban answering, I thought, with an insightful question about how he goes about recruiting. Now, let's put aside for just a second Nick Saban talk about people walking in the walls and not hearing gunshots. Mm-hmm. Makes me wonder if Nick Saban ever heard a gunshot in his life. It's hard. It's hard to ignore a gunshot. It's also hard to experience. Ah!
Right. No.
This white man, Nick Saban, is trying to accost me.
Oh, snap. Nick Saban busting off rounds.
Right.
Okay.
Nah. He made a good point, though. And one I think that is worth actually considering, because when I say people get outworked, like Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, right? Matt Rule said at his early signing day presser, and more leading into the Big 12 championship game, that he doesn't spend all night on the phone with recruits. He's worried about the guys that are here. I'm like, yeah, that's why y'all suck. Now, they didn't suck. They got 11 wins. Mm-hmm. But they also got run by Georgia. And they got beat by Oklahoma twice. Mm-hmm. And it ain't because they weren't well coached. It's because Lincoln's Jimmies were better than his Joes. And when I look at what it takes to win at the highest level, you know where Georgia doesn't lack talent? Everywhere.
I was about to say.
They can platoon. Same thing with Alabama. And Clemson. Mm. What does Dabo Swinney do well? Talk to people. Nick Saban talk to people.
That he does.
Ed Orgeron. Ed Orgeron got great stories, right? And wants to tell everybody. My favorite of which is a coach went out of his way to say, look, I'm in California. I have a small school. We might put out a D1 kid every other year, maybe. Mm. But in one particular year, I didn't have anybody. And I told Coach O, I don't have anybody. I'm coming anyway. Well, Coach, I don't have anybody. Yeah, not this year, but one year you might. And it's important that you see me and that I see you. And you spent an appropriate amount of time with them. Ed would also say, I have to recruit the places where they don't have mailboxes. Loves to be on the road. Nick Saban told, and he didn't tell this story, Steve Rumsey told this story to Warren St. John, GQ, about Nick Saban and his need to recruit. Wins national championship game. Buddy calls him, says, hey, yo, man, congratulations, win national championship game. I think that game cost me a week of recruiting, was Nick Saban's response. To which Rumsey said, I think the dudes you want to recruit watching you win the game. Maybe they were. But you know what? Nick Saban couldn't tell him.
But he couldn't talk to him about it. Yeah. So to you, is Nick Saban doing it right? Like, is this the way that it should be done, or is this just what is working right now? Because he was asked, can you get the same results if you text people? You know, you have a social media presence. You tweet about people every now and then, tag them in something. That is not just talking to them on the phone. Talking to people on the phone it's not a bad thing, but is doing those other things detracting from what could be done? So you said what? Matt Rule doesn't talk to recruits right all the time because he needs to talk to the guys that he has. And you said obviously it's not working enough. Is what Nick Saban doing truly replicable? And I'm not talking about just calling people and talking to them on the phone, but to be successful and be somebody that only talks to people on the phone.
Yes.
Okay.
Because Coach O is not a football genius. Okay. Coach O hired people to coach football, and he recruits.
Absolutely.
Dabo Swinney
that's
is
very
not
true.
a football genius. Tony Elliott knows how to run the offense. Brent Venables knows how to run the defense. Dabo knows what they do, and he knows enough about it to be able to do it if in their stead. Say one of them gets a job.
Okay. So Coach O. So as it pertains to this phone call, that soundbite, Coach O, Dabo, that's what they do, and only what they do is to make sure that they touch base with people over the phone.
No more than that's only what Nick Saban does.
Okay.
And by the way, if anybody would have an excuse not to be able to do it, it's Nick Saban. All he does is have a revolving door of assistant coaches that have to learn the scheme and have to learn how we do it. And he has to teach them. But he also needs to make clear, you know how to coach football because I got to do all this other stuff. And that's the big difference between what I believe is a great head coach. Like I'm starting to side with the folks that say maybe Lincoln Riley needs to put down a play card and be a head coach, because show me the last dude that won a national championship with a play card. Be Jimbo Fisher, right? 2013. Ain't been nobody like that since. Urban Meyer, in his first full year, put together the number 2 ranked recruiting class in the country. His first full year as head coach. Wasn't calling any plays, y'all. Now, Ryan Day finishes at number 5 in his first full year as a head coach, and obviously did not have Urban Meyer's rings to recruit from, right? Also had a smaller class than Meyer did his first year. But he made clear that recruiting is a priority. It is the priority. I have to win kids. Because if you've told me we've been friends, dozen years?
A long time.
Right. You would say, you can run whatever you want if you have the players. Like you look at Alabama, you say, yeah, man, they can run option, wing T, triple option, spread, whatever.
Pick an offense from wherever in history, they can run it and probably win a national championship.
And what turned out to be true was Nick Saban stopped playing murder ball when he saw a dude named Johnny Manziel take apart his defense and said, never again. And then he went and got Jalen Hurts. Or Blake Sims. And then Jalen Hurts, right? And they've had a quarterback that is mobile, if nothing else, and they run spread, right? Lane Kiffin modernized the offense, and they've been juggernauts since. You actually need to do that if you don't want to actually fall behind. Because Georgia still tries to run murder ball.
Well, yeah.
And when they fall behind, they get beat.
Yeah, well, I was supposed to say you evolve with the times.
Unless you're Kirby Smart. Now, he hired Todd Monken. We'll see what that means. And he's got store brand Cam Newton as the quarterback. And I love that. Hopefully, because if they overhaul the offense, they're a destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
Because it's still Kirby Smart's defense. You know, just like it's still Nick Saban's defense, despite whoever the play caller is. You know, I think about that all the time. And I think about it in relation to Lincoln Riley, because people forget, he's literally 3 years, 4 years older than me. Lincoln Riley, I believe, is 36.
Yeah.
Turned 37 this year. So 4 years. Right? Alex Grinch ain't even 40 yet. You know, like, you're still fallible. Even as you got this offense and it works really well and you're a great developer and recruiter of quarterbacks and wide receivers want to play in the offense because they know what you do and running backs want to play in the offense because they know what you do, and Bill Bedenbaugh somehow continues to convince kids to not only come to Oklahoma but redshirt and stick it out. Like, of all the people that enter the transfer portal at OU, offensive linemen ain't doing it. You know? Michael Thompson's recruited to play defensive line and moving to offensive line, he goes in the portal. Yeah, because he want to play defensive line. He ain't an offensive lineman. You recruit him there as a 360-pound tackle, and then you change the defense. To which the coordinator says, hey, man, I can't use a 360-pound tackle.
Hey, that's just where football is.
He legitimately went out to all the defensive linemen and said, all of y'all got to get under 295. And it was like, dog. And they got there, right? But like, no, he wants 285-pound dudes with twitch.
Right. Oh, whoa. You 360? What are you, 6'9"?
Even then, yeah, I think you make one hell of a right tackle. You're not going, but not on my defensive line.
Not my defense.
Right. You know, because that's what it's about. You got to be able to run to the football, got to be able to penetrate, got to be able to split people. I just find it fascinating that Mac Brown is building a winner. Like, North Carolina is my pick to challenge in the ACC. Now, they might not get there, but I think they're going to win 9, probably 10 games this season. Because Mac Brown hired 2 coordinators to know what they're doing, Phil Longo and Jay Bateman. And you know what Mac Brown does? He recruits. That's what he does. That's why they're going to be good.
Mac Brown does have a golden tongue.
Mike Norvell is already putting together a squad at Florida State because he just decided, I'm going to recruit. I'll hire Kenny Dillingham to be my offensive coordinator and so forth, so on. I'll let them coach. I'm going to go get players. Shake hands, kiss babies.
No, and like, that's all real nice, but I don't see where they move the needle when it comes to dealing with the people that are already at the top spot. At best, they take Oklahoma's place in the getting beat in the first round, right?
Who?
North Carolina.
No, but you know who will?
Who's that?
Notre Dame, Oregon.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, no. Wait,
Oregon is going to be a monster. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Yo, man. All right. Oregon got a kid named Justin Flo, who to comp from me is Vontez Burfict. You've probably seen. This is the kid I'm telling you about who's power bombing people?
Yeah.
Okay. They have a 270-pound inside linebacker named Noah Sewell, who does run like a deer. He's probably going to end up playing 5 technique, but you get my point. They return a true freshman who had 9 sacks from the defensive end spot. It's Mario Cristobal, who's a Saban disciple, and he's decided to just recruit and develop like an SEC team up there. And they're the defending Pac-12 champs, and I know that doesn't mean a whole lot to people, but if they don't lose to Arizona State, they do have OU spot. Like, everything that had to go well for Oklahoma last year went well. Like, everything that fell into place, that had to, fell into place. Oregon beat Utah but lost to Arizona State. You know, Alabama took an L to Auburn. LSU beat Georgia. I mean, all of these things that had to happen happened. It's not going to be that way all the time. So you look at the other teams behind them, like even Minnesota, if they somehow get past an Ohio State, it's a wrap. Michigan, they get a quarterback. You know, Penn State, like the thing that is helping Oklahoma the most is that they don't have to play in the Big Ten East. They don't have to play in the SEC West or the SEC East for that matter, but the SEC West. And they don't actually have to face Oregon in a game that's meaningful or ever. They don't have to play Wisconsin. You know, they got to play Texas. And then what?
It's pretty much smooth sailing from that point out.
You get Tennessee in Norman this year. And I hope Zach Evans commits to play there because, one, he's the second best, if not he's the most talented tailback in the class, but he's 1-2, right?
Yeah, we're splitting hairs at that point.
And Jeremy Pruitt's defense is going to be a load It just is. They're trending. Like they look good heading into this year. Like Rocky Top folks feeling. Did I play the Phil Fulmer sound for you?
Oh no, but I caught it.
Okay.
We're out here. No, I'm not giving people that soundbite of me saying it. But Philip Fulmer, man, that dude has a lot of confidence saying what he said.
Florida is also right there, ready to take OU's scalp.
That quote is going to be the Miami turnover chain of the year. Believe me.
Nah, it was beautiful, and my man splitting the predicate all the way. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, but no, Florida is right there. Georgia is right there. Oregon's right there. Penn State is right there. Michigan is right there. Although I don't know, Penn State might have a different sort of problem because they're being sued for hazing, or at least James Franklin and a couple players are. You know, if Mike Yurcich and Chris Ash turned Texas into a monster, because people forget the draft eligible class they signed 2 years ago that was ranked number 3, yeah, they're coming in to own this year. Mm-hmm. And all Tom Herman has to do is not run them through a death camp and let his coordinators do the work. Because I like their squad.
Okay, you say that like it's an absolute possibility that he's going to run them through a death camp and they're going to show up tired.
Because he's Tom Herman.
Yeah.
Like, you put them through the death camp to try to get them past LSU. You lose by 7 to LSU, and now your best win is a 7-point loss to LSU. For what? So you can go 8-5.
Oh no, say at least hey, what were we supposed to do?
So we can be Alamo Bowl champs.
Great. Oh my goodness.
Arizona State is also right there.
I just think that's going into that 4th spot is going to get folded in half
by Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and who?
No, that's about it.
Right.
Just, those
right.
3.
Matter of fact, yes.
I guess. I mean, besides maybe Georgia. Georgia could probably show up if things work out nicely for them. But other than that, average pretty much.
But so to answer your question about who is going to push you, that's what I was asking.
Oh.
Or answering. I was answering about who's going to push you. But no, you have to do some Tony Elliott, Jeff Scott, Brent Venables, Brandon Streeter type development of your Oklahoma Sooners roster. Mm. And so far, y'all ain't done it. Because as I've said many times over, being the Big 12 champ 5 times in a row is beginning to feel a lot like being All-State in Rhode Island.
I do like that a lot.
What good is it?
No,
I went on Sirius Radio early in the week. There was like, so RJ, I'm gonna take you gonna take Oklahoma. I'm gonna take the field. Who wins? OU, but it don't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you're gonna leave it, and if you're in the 4th spot, people are openly campaigning against you having it now for good reason, because you're winless. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, my joke about Lincoln Riley is, yeah, he's 36-6 and 0-3 in bowls.
I was about to say, OU's the number 4 or 3, heaven forbid, number 3. Congratulations, other team. You got a first week bye.
Right. Up until LSU, by the way, the team that beat OU, lost the national championship game.
LSU, greatest team of all time. Beat every good team, beat every curse.
Right. Like I said, the only way this gets better is if Drake is wearing the LSU jersey and the Raptors hadn't won a championship.
Oh, man. I can't wait for Drake to rep OU next year. Like I hope this.
There is no more curse though. That's the problem.
No, it's not about it being the curse. It's just the fact that that's right. You're right. There is no curse. Mm-hmm. But I'd still love it to be more right than wrong. So it might not be a curse, but it's a bad omen.